Okay, good evening. Today is November 17th, 2022. The town board is returning back into session. For a quick synopsis, the board went into executive session at 6:54 this evening where there was a salute to the flag, roll call was taken, and our emergency exits were noted. For the record and for the public to be aware that today in attendance we have Supervisor Perotti and Councilpersons Doyle and Rebellard, acknowledging that council members Blackman and Gutierrez are absent. Supervisor, this evening we do have a special guest here who would like
to make the motion again.
You want the public to hear? So Doyle made the motion, seconded by Perotti, to return into the regular meeting, beginning and exiting executive session. That was made at 8:07 p.m.
Okay, and we all voted
Ayes.
yes. Aye.
Yeah, that's why
Okay.
we're here.
All right.
This is this is the presentation that Paul Winters is not able to be with us here this evening, but at our last meeting he did say that there was going to be a presentation made by the Weebatuck Central School District as to a project that they would like to have as part of the rec budget lines. So we're going to let Morgan Sprague introduce. Oh, I should have not said who you were. Say your name, say hi.
Hi, I'm Morgan Sprague. We wanted to use the money towards a community day. So we did a community day last year and it turned out really well, but we wanted to use the money to get free things like a food truck, a bubble bus, have a color run, and do other activities like planting and sidewalk chalk for little kids so that we could involve all members of the community of all ages and get more people to go there for free, so it was something that they could afford to do.
And what day is Community Day?
Oh gosh, May 13th.
May 13th?
Yes.
So we're talking for next year?
Yes, this coming up spring.
And you'd like the town of Amenia to participate with you on Community Day? Is that what you're asking us?
Yes.
Well, we're delighted that you're here and that, you know, that you're asking us to work with you on this project, and we'd be delighted to help out.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? No? Just make sure that that the information for Community Day goes to Amenia TV at ameniany.gov so that we can properly advertise it.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
You did great.
Thank you.
Good job.
Did any of the administrators or teachers here with Morgan want to make any comment, or you're just here for support?
We're here to support. We're very proud of Morgan and her classmates that worked together to come up with the ideas.
Could you go to the
Go
microphone,
ahead.
please?
Oh, yes. Let's really get Rob all into
We want you on
Amenia
TV,
thing.
too.
I'm Rob Kanuski, I'm the high school principal, and Mr. Winters contacted me over the summer. We spoke about an activity the kids could put together, a community event, and the kids that have done all the planning, they met as groups from each class, grade level, and came up with several ideas, and Morgan is the spokesperson, and they came up with the idea of connecting it with the existing community day to make it even better. So we're very proud of Morgan and her classmates.
Well, we're happy to be participants. We're looking
so
forward to it. You know, we'd be happy to help with the advertisement and anything else you need.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you want to do the public hearing?
Okay. Morgan, you're all set. Now we're going to go into the regular business of the meeting, so you're all set. You can go do your homework.
Bye. Make a motion to open the public hearing for the 2023 Community Development Block Grant recommendations. Is there a second?
Second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Rebellard?
Yes.
Yeah, you have a copy of the application. Usually the grant has to be under one of the consolidated plan priorities that are listed. Does anybody have any recommendations for the block grant? Because one of the things I noticed that one of the priorities is improvements to existing facilities, municipal parks, and recreation areas, especially handicap accessible improvements. There is a piece of playground equipment at Beekman Park that is not ADA compliant. It's very old, and the slide part of it is cracked and actually poses a danger where a child could get cut on it. It's very expensive to replace, and if no one has any objections, I'd like to apply to replace this piece of equipment. I do have an estimate from Parkitect. I can get a more current estimate to apply for that. I mean, the amount of that's eligible for this is $100,000 for one applicant, and this piece of equipment is very expensive, and it's also very expensive to, you know, not to remove the old piece, but also to prepare the ground and the part of the equipment that it goes on. You know, it has to be on a certain material.
So what was that estimate? Is it in the $150,000
Yes.
range? Really? Just that, so are they going to have to rip out the whole thing to
Yeah,
re-prepare
they'd have
the
to-
surface?
And prepare the service, and it isn't just a little piece of equipment, it does several things. It has a slide, and it has several pieces to
It's
it.
a jungle Jimmy sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah,
So it's the main piece there.
right, and the company that made the one that's there, I mean, they don't even make, you know, they're not even in business anymore. You know, it's really old, I mean, it's probably 20 years old
So are we replacing it in its entirety?
in its entirety.
Oh, I see.
So I thought we could, you know, as long as there's funds available, rather than, I mean, I know that the Recreation Commission would like to
Right.
save the funds in the current savings account they have for improvements to the concession stand, which would be a capital project. So I figure it doesn't hurt to ask. The worst thing they can do is say no.
There's certainly a lot of blanks here we could fill here.
And if, you know, if the board approves, there's a letter of intent that has to go in that is due tomorrow. I can go ahead and do that tomorrow.
I think so.
Okay, so it's right here. This is the
Yeah.
priority that you're thinking.
And they've been very good about, you know, ADA accessible equipment improvements for recreation when, you know, people have asked for them. And this, you know, this piece of playground equipment is really
And we don't have a water district need that fits the $150,000 maximum.
well, I don't know what category it would fit under.
That's on the last page.
Water, and wastewater.
Is there, I didn't see that posted online, this is a public hearing, right, for the block grant?
Yep.
Is there copies that can be made available to the attendees?
What,
Of
an
the public
application?
hearing notice?
The notice just said there was a notice of this public hearing. I'm just asking if
The actual block grants, its criteria could be made.
Right. I can photograph the part that you're interested, I'm guessing.
Well, he can have this one.
You got an extra? Okay. Is Habitat for Humanity moving forward at all with their idea on Mechanic Street?
Yes. Mike, could you change that over to, from air to the heat pump?
That's what I got on, but it's not pumping too well. What's with this thing?
Well, they're two different things. That doesn't control that.
Well, if this has to be done anyway, I guess I would support that.
Might as well.
So there's two, so Victoria, that's the $100,000 grant that you're,
Well, one is for, there's 100,000 or 150, depending which priority you're looking at.
can you do both? Can both be applied for?
No, you have to choose one or the other, I believe. It's one per year. What facilities is one? And it doesn't make sense to try and put more towards the existing project that we couldn't get enough money to,
Well,
To
we
afford.
haven't rebid it. We have to rebid it.
but at $300,000, is it likely we're going to get back down to within the amount of grant that we asked for?
I don't know.
Did I miss somewhere where it says you can apply for both? Oh, can submit one application, except the second
One.
may be submitted for an eligible housing activity. Well, actually, you can do two,
Except that a second application may be submitted.
for an eligible
right?
housing activity. So why can't we make two applications, one for the 100,000, which is for the park equipment, and then another for 150,000 that's related to housing?
Does sound like it's possible.
Um,
To think of a project that works with $100,000 and can be done in the following year.
What does it say to do with housing?
They do
So there's several
permanent
things
housing,
here.
Housing that needs to be addressed, housing that sets aside, housing developed by agencies. I mean, they do Habitat for Humanities, they have volunteer rehabilitation programs. I mean, if Habitat was ready to go, we could potentially ask for $100,000 to facilitate that.
Well, 150,000.
Sorry,
100
150.
150,000, and also that could be put in cooperation with, like, the email that I sent you guys earlier related to...
The building,
The-
the land. I don't
the
see
land.
land acquisition.
Well, no, yeah, it is actually here.
Is it?
Well, it's, oh, one second, where were we at?
I see land
Characteristics.
bank. Land bank.
But it could be as part of,
Created. Looks like they want housing developed, you know, housing provided. And in a year, it looks hard to promise such a thing unless we were doing it,
does it have to be delivered within a year?
well, they don't really want you to go over that. the idea is to have it done in a year, and they will grant extensions, but there has to be a good reason.
Completion. Well, October 31st, 2020, well, 20 months. And all funds expended within 20 months after a March 1st, oh, no. From the start date or by October 31st, 2023. So that,
Yes.
2023, 2024, that'd be into 2025.
Can we go that long with these things? I thought we had to get extensions, but,
Well, I'm just,
No, you have to apply for extensions. We just got an extension for our sidewalk grant to 2023.
I could find a number of different things.
So a hard deadline of 20 months.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, a hard deadline of 20 months. So
Yeah.
that would be into,
Yeah.
the award isn't until 2023, right?
Activities
beginning.
don't start until, well, March 1, 2022. It's like already over. My experience has been if they don't specify purchase of property, they, although this does have a house on it, that property that you were looking at for wastewater does
Right.
have a house on it.
So the letter of intent has to go in tomorrow? By 4 o'clock. And this application was released on October 14th?
Yeah, and I sent it out to everyone when I got it. But in order to apply at all, you have to have a public hearing, because there has to be a record of it. It's one of the requirements for the grant. That's how we got the other sidewalk grants.
I don't know. I think it would be very tempting to see if that purchase of the parcel on Westlake Amenia Road would be a possibility.
That's not secured at all.
No. Not that I know of. I mean, like a purchase and development right, or a right for the first right of refusal? I don't
Is there a
think,
written first right refusal on that?
not that I know of,
Yeah, so it's not secured.
right. But the worst-case scenario, it falls through.
Well, you don't have,
So the 3 sites, right?
But the, Victoria, your recommendation is the $100,000 is for the equipment, for the play equipment, right? So that means there's $150,000 that either we don't apply for, or we do and we don't get, or
Right.
or we can't use. Like, why not try? Right?
For what?
Affordable housing.
For both, like the $100,000 is for the
wastewater.
equipment. I'm saying we can apply for the $150,000 for the rehabilitation of a property, which is what falls underneath the housing.
Well, we have to own the property, don't we?
Well, I haven't seen the full application, so, I mean, the whole
That is-
idea, I would
That is the
imagine.
application.
I don't know.
There's a
I think
Dutchess
it would be
County
a
grant
question.
portal, so there must be more to it.
So
I mean, if we could get Hudson River Housing to partner with us on that parcel, so maybe 150,000 would certainly start in the right direction. But that's another moving part. They'd have to co-sponsor, I would say, or some kind of,
So Chris, what you're saying, and I think I see what you're saying here, there's a $150,000 grant and there's a $100,000 grant
Right,
that can be applied for, so at the same time.
yes.
Okay.
and priority has always been housing. And I think if we had
I
a
mean,
partner,
yeah, you can only, I mean, it's unfortunate that you can't apply for both, and for the 150, do it for, water, wastewater, because we have plenty of those things, right? We have a PER and everything else like that. But the only way you can apply to both is if you're applying for it just related to housing underneath what their, on page 5, what their housing
Right.
categories are here. And I think we would be applying under creation of new rental housing through rehabilitation of a vacant residential building and adaptive reuse. And then activities, we have a number of things that we would check the box on what we're achieving.
oh, it does say acquisition of real property. Right at the top, column A, eligible activities. Page 4. I think it would be a mistake not to try. I mean,
To apply for
affordable
what?
housing, so you would apply for your playground equipment is fine for the 150,000. No,
For the 100,000, under the-
100,000, the removal of existing architectural barriers, parks and recreation, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And then we would add a second application for the purchase of the parcel on West Lake Amenia Road that is for sale, right?
Off market.
And has a
Yeah.
house that we
But
believe
there's,
would meet affordable housing
Right.
but there's,
needs.
what would be for affordable housing?
The home
parcel.
that's there.
There's an existing home. One single family, right?
Yes, it's a single-family home that will need updating and rehabilitation. Yeah,
Is it currently occupied?
no.
Okay. So it's a start in the right direction. Purchase of property.
I mean, like,
150,000.
what do you have to lose, right?
Right.
What's the cost of the property, do we know?
We don't know. Our budget has 300,000 in it. It was assessed, and there was an appraisal on it.
What
probably-
budget?
Sorry?
What budget?
Oh, the sewer,
Feasibility
the
study.
Sewer Hamlet preliminary engineering report has a budget for acquisition of that property of 300,000.
And it was appraised somewhere?
It was appraised a few years ago. Two brothers owned it. One of the brothers died, and it was assessed for estate purposes then. And I think it was assessed for 200.
But we don't
something
have,
like that.
there's no board approval to even purchase property. So,
No,
you know,
no, but what I'm saying, I mean, some of this it's like chicken and egg. Like, you're not going to get the award until sometime in the future, early spring, for this. And if you can't expend the funds, you don't get the funds, right? You don't get penalized.
I don't think so. This is such a priority for everywhere that
And it's a
a
massive
try
need.
is a try.
Yeah.
I would say if we could partner with Hudson River Housing or somebody who could go the extra mile and help us purchase this, right? They would be interested.
Well, there's a couple of different things. I'm just saying, I haven't seen the full application. This isn't the full application. The application is online somewhere. So I could look at it and see exactly what it requires, but we can write that up. That's not hard at all.
Yeah, I think a letter of interest ought to at least include the possibility. The property is for sale. It has been studied as both for wastewater and for affordable housing, right? I mean,
Yeah, so, I mean, the letter of intent's just due tomorrow, right, which you said. So, I mean, the portion related to the housing element of this, the 150, I could draft something up and send it to you. You can revise it and whatnot. The application itself isn't due until December the 9th.
I've time
And
to
it says
put-
we can apply for both? Well, the worst thing they can do is say no.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it says, here we go, can submit one application except that a second application may be submitted for an eligible housing activity. Housing activities require the submission of a separate application, and then there are these eligible housing activities. And I think the one we would apply for would be under the creation of new rental housing through rehabilitation of a vacant building.
Okay, so you can
Yeah.
write something up and get it to me tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close the public hearing.
Yeah, I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
A second.
Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
And make a motion to return to regular meeting.
A second.
Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
Okay, is there any other public comment? No? Okay. Supervisors report. Highway garage and salt shed. Feasibility study kickoff meeting with Lobella engineer Pascal Marchese, Highway Superintendent Megan Chamberlain, Building Inspector Thomas Basile, and Supervisor Perotti was held today in the Town Board meeting room to discuss highway garage and salt shed details. Supervisors sent survey and parcel map for a 5-acre land site to all participating. CDBG Route 44 sidewalk grant. RFP will be sent out in the spring to rebid the project. Extension for the $165,904.24. Grant monies goes to 12/31/2023. Amenia Water District identifying sites to test for well replacement and infrastructure build-out for new wells. Researching cost of water tower replacement. Planning to start Department of Health required lead and copper inventory in January 2023. 2023 budget. The adopted budget has been submitted to town clerk and town board on November 17th. The adopted budget is $39,499 under the 2% tax cap. Town tax levy is $2,069,630. The town tax rate per 1,000 decreases from 1.94984 to 1.92952. Amenia Free Library grand opening of expansion renovation project is Saturday, November 19th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. RSVP to 845-373-8273. Town of Amenia COVID-19. Amenia Town Hall offices are open Monday through Thursday. The building department is also open on Fridays. Masks are optional and already available in an envelope on the second set of doors. Signing the visitor log is required. COVID-19 test kits are available in department offices for anyone who needs one. October 19 vaccine information. Homebound vaccine appointments can be made by calling 845-486-2555. COVID-19 vaccines and booster shots are available at Amenia Drugs. Call for appointment 845-373-8000. CVS pharmacies, go online to schedule an appointment or visit www.dutchessny.gov/COVID vaccine for expanded clinic dates and times and to make an appointment. Town clerk report.
Good evening. Presenting to the board that for the month of October, total collected for our local share was $591.65 being remitted to the supervisor. Our local share totaled $530.15. Tonight, presenting the vouchers consisting of the 8 pages, totaling $206,185.58. For General Fund A, $135,648.43. Highway Fund, $61,497.94. Amenia Lighting, $991.77. Wasac Lighting, $372.15. Amenia Water, $7,675.29. Again, for a total of this month's abstract, $206,185.58. And this evening, I'm seeking authorization for the supervisor to pay claims.
I'll make a motion that we authorize as stated.
I'll second.
Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Fablelard?
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a acknowledgement of a receipt of a request that I received from Elliot Soroka to the town board as well as our Recreation Commission. I know he's been speaking with Kelly as well as Rec, that he is requesting the use of the gym now on Sunday evenings, beginning at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. They want to increase to a second night of pickleball. Currently, the gym is available on Sundays, so I did have him fill out the request form. Elliot is a, town resident. He's been on various boards in years past. Our current person, who is our key holder, is going to not be available to be our key holder for the next little bit, so they want to just kind of swap keys. So we're going from Mr. Witt to Mr. Soroka. So it's more of to advise the board that we're going to be adding another day of pickleball here at the town hall, and if there was any objections.
No, if the room is available, let them come play.
Yay! Okay, so Elliot, if you're watching, great news. And since we're talking about things coming back and increase of use, and I know the other rec activities will be shared in a little bit, but ESL will be returning to the town hall with Sarah Ford as our instructor, and that'll be on Mondays and Wednesday evenings from 6 to 9. So if anyone knows someone who is interested in this credit-free class that's taught by Dutchess Community College adjunct teacher, ESL will be here on the Amenia, at the Amenia Town Hall. So I would ask that you come in, because they're looking to start on January 9th, and it goes through April. So that's going to be another activity taking place here at the Town Hall. Earlier this evening, I did circulate to the board a spreadsheet of all of the volunteers that we have received applications for, but that without limit. If anyone is interested in serving on any of our open committees, being that they're all opening, there's always spots. Please do not hesitate to submit your application in. At this time, I'm going to confirm with the supervisor and the other board members that we are going to move forward as planned, that I'll be scheduling the applicants that submit their applications for December 1st, starting at
Yes.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead, so.
6 o'clock, Brad.
6 o'clock.
Put it in your
6
calendar.
p.m.
Thank you.
The town clerk's office is also in receipt of responses for the snow bids, and I know that's an agenda item a little bit later, but I did acknowledge receipt of a bid for the Wasake Trail snow removal as well as the sidewalk snow removal. So we have those. We'll open those. You can open them right now. They're gonna. So for sidewalk snow bid removal. Drum roll or anything? Okay. So using the specifications for the snow removal as reviewed and circulated by our supervisor, the total bid amount is $39,000. The company and individual's name is Kindred Property Care, LLC. In here, he does have his non-conclusive, and it's been notarized, and he has his insurance. It's one bid for that. And then for the Wasake Trail snow removal. The bid amount is submitted by Northwest Lawn Landscaping Maintenance is $12,582. And in their packet, it appears to be a contract, their certificate of insurance, their consent of members, this is their non-conclusive, and their, going name blank here, just their consent, it's the adoption of their resolution, so they have their corporate resolution within. And I only received 1-in-1 for each of the projects that were bidded.
Okay. Well, they both came in under what I projected in the budget. That's a good sign.
And then also acknowledging in our packets, just to kind of keep the meeting moving this evening, we do acknowledge circulation of our balance sheets and our operating statement ending October 31st of this year. I see in our packets SEBI, the October monthly update that contains September and October's water usage. He being Marco, shows us the customer calls, the water line mark out, Dig Safe New York properties that he had to go to. And he also does indicate any other emergency responses, repairs, or other tasks that he performed this past month. I see that we have our monthly report from the building department submitted by Tom Basile, and it's a summary of his receipts totaling the total number of items that they've done, and the total income for the department is $20,792.75. And also in there, he does indicate that there were 3 violations that were issued during the month, and has a breakdown of the payment schedule that they've taken in. When you walk into the town hall, you'll notice that we've already started our holiday festivities. There are 2 toy boxes there. The Wasake and Amenia Holiday Toy Drive is on its way. There is a list of items that they're looking to collect. If you have a new unwrapped toy, please deliver it here or any of the boxes that are throughout our community no later than Wednesday, December 7th. This list and all of the information has been posted on Channel 22 as well as our website, and there's flyers posted on the community bulletin board. What else is in our packet? Did you want to do recreation? I saw you had responded in Paul's absence, or do you want me to read Kelly's?
You can read Colleen's.
Okay, so Kelly submitted to us this evening an email for the recreation report, sharing that the rec activities that are happening. Volleyball currently meets at Weebatuck Middle School Gym on Tuesday evenings from 6 to 9. Line dancing is at 5:30. Thursdays here at the town hall, which is followed right by karate thereafter at 6:30. As you heard, pickleball is on Tuesday nights, currently beginning at 6:30, and now we're going to be adding Sundays. John Lamb is in the gym on Monday nights right now and is working with some kids on the pitching. He may want to add some Wednesdays for the rest of this month. He's going to start back up on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at the end of January for 8 weeks or whenever he can get onto the field. Cheer is starting their routines with their practices every Sunday mornings. Competitions are still being finalized. And she would like to invite everyone out there that December 4th, beginning at 2 p.m. to help decorate the trees. They would love the whole town to be involved. There will be a kid table and crafts. And I do know that our dance program is going on here at the Amenia Town Hall. It is the free theater arts program. It's taking place on Saturdays from noon to 2, or was it, no 10 to 12? You're not going to switch? It was just that one time?
No, it's noon to 2 p.m., just that one time.
Okay, so they are here, and please look forward to our December 17th. They're going to be having their big end-of-the-year performance. And as you heard Kelly invite everybody here, the flyers have been starting to circulate. Our 11th annual celebration and Parade of Lights will be taking place on Sunday, December 4th. The festivities are from Fountain Square through the basketball courts. It's a 2 p.m. welcome all to help come and decorate the trees. At 3 p.m., there's a visit with Santa at the Great Cape Baking Company. Kids, holiday arts and crafts, complimentary refreshments from our local businesses. At 4 p.m., we would talk Music Warriors, the musical performance at the basketball courts. At 4:45, the Citizen of the Year and the tree lighting. And at 5 p.m. will be the Parade of Lights. The parade will be beginning over at our firehouse and lining up on Mechanic. It'll come up 343 making a right on to 22 heading north, and then the floats that are ending will be pulling into the lower parking lot here, and if needed, our upper parking lot to let our young friends to get off their floats. Then if they want to join their families, the drive-in is going to be showing a complimentary viewing of the Polar Express this year. So we are looking to select a winner of our most creative, and prizes are going to be for the best float and the best window displays. So I encourage all of our homeowners and our residents here on town, kind of starting from the town hall to the church, light down to Dollar General. If you have some creative colors and lights and displays you want to bring, I encourage everyone to join in. Like I said, the movie is the Polar Express, so that helps with maybe a theme of what you're going to do. Maybe that might have an influence, for winning the best window displays. Other than that, just I want to wish everybody a happy Turkey Day as you guys continue the rest of your business meeting.
Thank you.
Are there any other committee reports?
That's you, Charlie.
You're on.
I actually, if we could, I'll do the wastewater real quick, just so everybody has.
Thank you.
So the wastewater committee is very pleased that we actually were awarded an engineering planning grant from the Environmental Facilities Corporation with the state. Third time is a charm. So that grant is $17,600. It'll pay the vast majority of Ty and Bond's fee for the preliminary engineering report that they have created for us. I just gave you guys a printout of the email that I sent earlier today that is related to the parcel that is identified in the preliminary engineering report. I'm meeting with the owner tomorrow. Hopefully that meeting will go our way. It is a prime spot. After we looked at 15 different parcels, we disregarded 12 after our initial due diligence. We did a thorough examination on 3 parcels, and this was the one that made the most sense for the project. It's about 4 acres behind the Dutchess County Sheriff's Substation off of 22. It has a nice, it's a very large flat parcel in the back. The owner has a relationship with the Carrolls. He has a lot of wood stacked on the parcel. He will want an easement for that, which will be fine. I had the engineers today draw up a schematic that actually shows how our facility can be put on that parcel outside of where the wood is. And to give a little bit more in depth on this, the system that is proposed in the engineering report is a surface distribution, so it would have a couple of elements that would be buried underneath the ground, which is where the water would ultimately be treated, the effluent, and then the clean water would discharge into Amenia stream, and Amenia stream actually abuts this parcel. And there would be a building probably about 20 by 15 as its footprint that would house, some mechanical elements. They would be quiet, there would be no odor or anything. That sort of gives you the idea of that. So in our report, the engineers, we came up with $300,000 for that parcel. So to the extent that we are actually able to make some kind of deal with them, the town board will need to authorize the expenditure of those funds. And I'm proposing in this that a combination of the Housing Trust Fund money, which more should be coming in from Silo Ridge for their fee in lieu of, as well as are supplemented by the ARPA funds that we have. And to the extent that a large portion of that money would need to come from the ARPA funds, that would obviously be paid back once we got money into the Housing Trust Fund. And through our comprehensive plan and even in our local law, it states that the Housing Trust Fund, a lot of that money would be spent towards infrastructure that supports housing.
Correct.
Does anybody have any questions about that parcel or about any of that? No? Okay.
An easement does sound a bit complicated for town-owned property to then have an easement for private use nearby. Was there any discussion of just
Subdividing?
subdividing off that
That'll
parcel
be a-
so that that's a standalone and not?
Yeah, it'll be a conversation I can have with them tomorrow. I don't think an easement is terrible. I mean, there's a drive that comes on to that parcel. You can actually see it. I think there's a photo
Aerial.
from parcel access in there.
Is there a survey?
No, there's not a survey. We haven't surveyed the property. The engineers have looked at it, as well as, committee members of ours have looked at it.
This is the same information you emailed earlier?
I'm sorry?
It's the same
Yes.
information you emailed earlier?
It is,
Yeah.
but I know you guys get inundated with emails, so maybe papers you can sit in bed and, or sit wherever. The other thing that I'll say about the wastewater, our committee will, I imagine, in the next several weeks, will be coming back with a recommendation to move on to the next phase of that project, which would be engaging Ty and Bond for the map plan and report phase. We started door knocking on residential property owners that are in the proposed district. And so far, it's been a really great response from them, actually. I did about 75% of my list, and of those who were home, all were yeses. We had one maybe, and I think that can come to a yes, too, once we get the fees to a place where people find acceptable. And I think that that's going to be easy enough to do through grant funding, truthfully. So that's been very, very encouraging. So now if I could move on to housing. I'm going to pass out some more things. This is my...
Thank you.
So this is sort of the never-ending fee in lieu of conversation with regard to the current developer who has opted to pay a fee in lieu of developing affordable housing. I've had a number of emails back and forth with you guys, as well as the town attorney, and I just would like to sort of get to some resolution around this. Our code states that if a developer does more than 10 or more units, they either put 1 unit per 10 of affordable housing, workforce housing, or they can opt to pay a fee in lieu of, and we have a schedule for that. Silo Ridge opted to do a fee in lieu of developing affordable housing, which is fine. And under our code currently, the way it's written is that if you do a fee in lieu of, there's a payment schedule, and the payment schedule correlates to what the phasing schedule if you had actually built workforce housing. And the phasing schedule has really 4 payments that are due based on the amount of workforce housing COs that you deliver. So before you get your market rate COs, you have to deliver a certain number of affordable housing, workforce housing COs. The phasing schedule gives a developer the ability to build 25% of their market rate housing before they have to pay anything into the workforce housing trust fund. The way the building department, and I think it's because the developer's attorney years ago wrote a letter that stated that we would pay X when we got this number of market rate COs, the building department has relied on that in their collection process. However, that's not the way the code works. The code specifically says that COs shall be issued for market rate units when the required percentage of workforce housing units for that respective phase has been completed and certificates of occupants have been issued for the workforce housing units. So COs for workforce housing come first, then you either pay your fee or, well, you either get the workforce housing or you pay your fee, then you get your market rate housing. So I'm just a little confused as to why we aren't really following that schedule. So I want to pose that to you guys. The code lets you build 25% up front, but then you have to actually start paying your fee in lieu of before you get your market rate COs.
I think that's you, Ian.
So the way this is set up is that there's 25% where they can build up to that. The trigger for the first payment is the 25% plus 1 unit. That triggers the first payment, which they've made.
Yes.
That puts us into the next phase. The next phase is 50%. Once they complete 50%, then that would trigger their next fee in lieu of payment, which in this breakdown here is $244,000 and change, $244,400.
But it's actually first they have to pay their fee before they get their COs in that phase, which is 25 plus 1 to 50%. You first have to deliver your workforce housing units or your fee in lieu of those units before you get the COs related to that phase. But that's the collateral.
The trigger for the payment is the percentage of completion. So once you hit 25 plus 1, they pay. Then the next phase doesn't. They would be able, the respective phase is completed. Once they've been issued C of Os for 50%, then they would have to make the next payment.
So could you please read then 121-42-4B?
C of O shall be issued for market rate units when the required percentage of workforce housing units for the respective phase has been completed.
Correct. So we are in now the 50% phase where we should either receive 50% of the workforce housing COs, correct?
Correct.
Before they get any of their market rate COs for that phase.
So they wouldn't be able to leave. So in this, if this phase, they're building, they could build 50% of their build out. They would have to build their workforce housing unit then. The required workforce housing unit. They would have to build that and get a CO for that before they could move on to any other.
No, before they got
But
their
they're
50
not
before.
building workforce housing.
No, but you got to remember, this fee schedule was made for a build out. The payment in lieu of fee was amended to this after the fact, and they referenced this particular phasing schedule. So the way the trigger is, they would build 50% of their units. Then they have to build a workforce housing unit, and they wouldn't be able to get to the next phase of COs, which would be the 75%. They couldn't enter that until they had actually built the required number of workforce housing units and obtained COs for those.
Can I work backwards, which I think that might clarify the issue here? So let's work from 100%. Okay? So, because you're arguing that they actually get their market rate COs first, and then they have to deliver workforce housing units in that particular phase. But that's not what the law says. The law says they don't get their market rate COs until they've delivered workforce housing COs. So in the 100% range, which is actually in that phase, it's 76 to 100%, right? So they would have to deliver 76 to 100% of the workforce housing COs before they got COs for their market rate 76 to 100, correct?
The way this is set up is they are ahead of the schedule on this. So they would finish 100% before they... Sorry. The way this is set up is they're ahead of the schedule on this particular phasing schedule. So each phase that you hit, it triggers the payment, or in our situation here, the payment. So once they hit 100% of their COs, then they have to make the final payment.
But that's...
My question is, and I think that there were two schedules proposed initially. And the difference is we're down to one schedule now because they're not doing the workforce housing.
The fee in lieu of payment schedule points to the CO schedule. So let's forget about the fee in lieu of. Let's just talk about getting market rate versus workforce housing COs, because it's the same. And what Ian is saying is that actually they get to get 100% of their COs for their market rate stuff before they actually pay or before they deliver workforce housing COs. And the law doesn't say that. The law clearly says that they have to first deliver workforce housing COs before they get market rate COs.
But they're not building workforce housing.
Well, so then they have to deliver their fee in lieu of those units before they get their market rate COs.
But again, the way this is set up, they're ahead of the schedule. That's why they can complete 100% of the project before the final workforce housing units would be required to be built, because they're ahead. They were able to start 25% ahead. So, I mean, the way you're interpreting it, they would build 25% plus one unit, have to make a payment, and then their
Which
next...
they have.
Which they have. And then 25% plus two, they'd have to make another payment.
Yes.
But
That's the
not
way the
how
law
this-
is written.
But that's not how this reads.
That's
not
the
how
way,
it-
it's clearly how it reads. How can you tell me that you
It's
get...
not how I interpret it. I'm sorry. This is my interpretation.
Well, then, respectfully, we need to get the individual who wrote the original phasing schedule to interpret this, because there's no collateral for the town. If a developer is to go, let's say a developer goes out of business, right, after they have done after they've paid their 10% and, they got their 25 plus 1, and then under Ian's guidance, they're able to continue building until they get to 50%, and then they go out of business. So they've gotten 50% of their market rate COs, and the town has gotten 10%.
So Chris, respectfully, we rely on our council's interpretation.
Charlie.
It's Charlie, but call me Chris, I don't care. I'll
I'm
respond
sorry.
to it.
I'll get over that someday. Apologize for that. But Ian is who we were looking for interpretation of this on.
This was also the planning board's interpretation of this fee in lieu of schedule as well. So this is what the town has started and agreed as the interpretation of the law. And I read it the same way as the planning board.
Yeah, so that's Dave Everett, and Dave Everett relied on a letter that came from the council from Silo Ridge, which also misstated the law. Actually, the law was not even in effect when that letter was written by Silo Ridge. It's just shocking to me. Like, I'm confused. Nobody has yet to clarify how this can state you don't get your certificates of occupancy for market rate stuff until you deliver workforce housing stuff. But under your interpretation, you actually do. You throw that part out. I'm not trying to back you up against the wall. I'm just I'm here fighting for the town. And I don't see how.
Correct.
I mean, most schemes of this nature rely on a part of collateral. It's like you go to the building department and you pay for your permit before you get your permit. You are able to build, a development under our code, but you either deliver your workforce housing before you are able to get all of your COs for your development. Otherwise, the town has no collateral.
I understand where you're coming from on that, and I agree with that statement. I agree with it. But this law, unfortunately, I don't interpret it the way you're interpreting it. I don't think this is particularly well written, and I don't think it's particularly really in favor for the town. I just don't agree with the interpretation.
I agree it's not well written, but what is your response then to the 121.42.4b that states certificate of occupancy shall be issued for market rate units when the required percentage of workforce housing units for that respective phase have been completed and COs have been issued?
So each phase they hit, once they hit their 25%, they would have to build that unit. The market rate unit, 25% of the market rate units, once they have those COs, then they would build the whatever required housing is. They would not be able to move on or get any further COs from the town until they built the required number of workforce housing units.
So then how does that apply to
circling back to something that's not there.
the final phase?
We'll keep circling back to something that's not there. They're not building the workforce housing.
Correct, but again, this was the fee in lieu of.
I know they're two separate things.
But when they amended it,
Yeah.
it would have been remarkably better if they created their own schedule for that. I think it would, and they clarified it. But
Do
this
you
is the
feel that
interpretation.
the confusion comes from the free up to 25%? If the schedule actually said up to 25% and it put 5% there, would you feel like that then you could interpret that as saying, oh, well, no, they have to deliver 5% of their workforce housing units before they're able to get COs for up to 25% of their market rate?
I don't want to try to rewrite what this is now.
Well, I'm
just
trying to
work with what
word it in a different
says.
way because it's still, you're not addressing the 121.42.4B in this code.
No, I think I have though, because it's the threshold is the phase. So once they build their 25% plus one, that's the trigger upon which they needed to pay. That's what causes the payment
Well,
to
the
incur.
payment is caused by the plus one. They don't get the plus one CO until they pay 10%. They already got to do 25%.
That's actually not true. They did 25% plus one, that's when it triggered it.
Right, well, I'm just saying that let's call that phase two. In phase two, 25 plus one, 10%, right? They actually are not supposed to get that plus one unit CO until they pay until they build 10%. Because you're already at 25% in the first phase.
So they can build up to 25%
With nothing, right?
Nothing.
When-
25% plus one, once they get that additional CO. So
No.
if it's 100, say it's 100 units, and they build, as soon as they hit the 26th unit, then they have to build at least 10%.
But at they're not supposed to get the CO for the 26th unit. They're supposed to first pay their 10%, right? Because that's what this next thing says.
But
I'm
that's
sorry,
not your-
I'm going to stand here until you address that, because
that's not what your phasing
I seem to be the
schedule
only person.
No, I do agree with you that I think that they should simply have said, to make Ian's logic work, you'd have to have on 4B, you'd have to say when the previous phase has been completed. I think they've got the wrong word, respective phase has been completed, because otherwise, this Part A does not work with Part B. You can't have both work. There is either a typo in the first place or a typo in the second place, and I could understand it completely if you said certificates of occupancy shall be issued for market rate units when the required percentage of workforce housing units for the previous phase has been completed, and a certificate of occupancy has been issued for the workforce housing units. I guess.
But respective is for that respective phase. That isn't
that
previous.
is erroneous because it can't be both statements. The statements don't agree with each other.
Under this, if the developer has 100 units, they get 99 COs. I guess they get all 100 before they actually pay their final 25%, under Ian's interpretation of that. So they go bankrupt
Based on
and the
this
town
phasing
doesn't get
schedule,
it.
They're ahead of it, yes.
Although that's not how this reads. I don't understand how this can say you don't get your market rate stuff until you get your workforce, and Ian says, well, no, that doesn't matter.
I just put a period after that. Well,
I'm just interpreting what it says. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, I'm interpreting this the way I think it reads and what it's saying. It's not well-written. It's
Contradictory.
Unfortunately, it's what the town has. It's how it's been applied.
Is your opinion then because of how it's been applied? Is there a fear of something? Because, I mean, I'm getting to the point where, honestly, I don't know. The developers sue all the time. I mean, maybe I should get a couple people to come in here and say, well, why haven't we gotten our fee?
Well, we're working on a new fee in lieu of schedule, right? So
This fee in
can
lieu of-
we just go forward, moving on a different, more
No.
clear schedule?
Well, we can, future
Not on this-
developments.
not on this
Not in this one, but.
It's not
But in future
retroactive.
developments, and,
No,
you
I'm
know.
not saying
I'm
retroactive.
standing
I'm
here
saying
as the
going
head of the
forward.
housing board, and no workforce housing has been developed or delivered. We've received $60,000 worth of funds. The code allows for a developer to pay in advance, truthfully, so it also says that you could pay all of your money in advance.
Yeah.
I doubt if the developer is going to do that. You know, we have a major housing shortage, and we have $60,000. Like, I mean, it's,
Christmas trees, we're going to have Christmas trees.
oh, yeah, Christmas trees. But it seems as I'm walking away from this that the board is agreeing with the town attorney, and there will not
I
be.
do not. I think that there is a contradiction there, and I think that we should clean up the language as soon as possible, but I don't believe that it's going to be possible to change the trajectory of this current fee schedule for the current applicant, but I think we should straighten it out and make it absolutely crystal clear what a fee in lieu of payment schedule would be, separate from building their units.
I would wholeheartedly agree with that. It has to be addressed. It's not, it needs to be
It's
addressed.
poorly written. I think everybody will agree with that.
Okay. So that the town board understands, the developer is at, I think, 85 COs. It's 240 some odd units, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I think I have it on here. 245 units. So the difference between 123 and 85. So I would imagine that we have another year, if not more, before we get our next payment.
I think
I
the
just can't, I
reality-
can't imagine that the town board would find that acceptable. I'm beside myself. And I think everybody in this town is too.
Resolution number?
This evening, we're beginning with resolution number 77.
Adopting annual town budget for fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2023, whereas the town supervisor has filed the tentative 2023 budget for the town of Amenia pursuant to Section 106 of the town law, whereas the town clerk delivered the tentative budget to the town board in accordance with town law Section 106, whereas the tentative budget has been considered, discussed, reviewed, modified, and adopted as a preliminary budget by the town board on October 20th, 2022, whereas the town board on November 3rd, 2022, commencing at 7 p.m., held a public hearing on the preliminary budget approved by the board, filed with the town clerk for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2023, having heard all persons desiring to be heard in the matter, and the budget for the town for the fiscal year 2023 having been fully discussed and considered, they closed the public hearing. Whereas the town board has considered certain changes, alterations, revisions to the preliminary budget, whereas the preliminary budget approved and filed as aforesaid is hereby changed, altered, and revised as set forth in the minutes of the proceedings of the town board. Now therefore be it resolved that the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. And be it further resolved, pursuant to Town Law Section 109, that said preliminary budget as changed, altered, revised is hereby adopted and established as the annual budget for this town for fiscal year beginning January 1, 2023, that such annual budget as so adopted is detailed in the minutes of the proceeding of this town board. Be it further resolved that the 2023 town tax rate is 1.92952 per 1,000 of assessed value, with a tax levy imposed of $2,069,630. Be it further resolved that the town clerk of this town shall prepare and certify as provided by law duplicate copies of the said annual budget as so changed, altered, and revised, and as hereby adopted, and deliver one of the copies to the supervisor of the town. She shall present such copy to the Dutchess County Legislature as required by law. I'm going to make that motion.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Frebelard?
Yes.
Snow removal bids. I'm gonna,
So for sidewalk,
yeah, I have to put them in the,
he was 39. Even. 39,000 even. So it's Kindred Property Care.
Okay, resolution number 78, awarding bid for providing sidewalk snow removal services to the town of Amenia. Whereas the town of Amenia is seeking sidewalk snow removal services for various locations within the town of Amenia, Hamlet of Wassaic, and at Town Hall. Whereas the town board of the town of Amenia authorized the town clerk to advertise for sidewalk snow removal bids. Whereas the town clerk published a notice to bidders pursuant to the town of Amenia procurement policy. Whereas the town clerk received the following bids from Kindred.
Yes.
Is it Kindred Snow Removal?
It's Kindred Property Care LLC.
At 39,000.
39 even.
Where it has been determined that Kindred Property LLC is the lowest responsible bidder for the sidewalk snow removal services. Now therefore be it resolved, the recitations set forth are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board hereby approves the proposal from Kindred Property Care LLC to provide sidewalk snow removal services to the town of Amenia. The town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute the Kindred proposal for sidewalk snow removal services and any other documentation necessary to effectuate this resolution upon review by the attorney of the town. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Revelard,
Yes.
thank you.
Resolution number 79, awarding a bid for providing snow removal services at Wassaic Trail within the town of Amenia. Whereas the town of Amenia is seeking snow removal services, including sanding and de-icing with pet-friendly ice melting material for the Wassaic Trail, which extends from the Wassaic train station to the Wassaic Hamlet. Whereas the town board of the town of Amenia authorized the town clerk to advertise for bids for the Wassaic Trail snow removal services. Whereas the town clerk published a notice to bidders pursuant to the town of Amenia procurement policy. Whereas the town clerk received the following bids.
Northwest, I'm so sorry, Lawn and Landscaping Maintenance LLC. In the amount of $12,582 even.
Where it has been determined that Northwest Landscaping and Maintenance LLC is the lowest responsible bidder for the Wassaic Trail snow removal services. Now therefore be it resolved that the recitations above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board hereby approves the proposal from Northwest Lawn and Maintenance LLC to provide snow removal service, including sanding and de-icing with pet-friendly ice melting materials for the Wassaic Trail within the town of Amenia. Town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute the Northwest proposal for snow removal services and any other documentation necessary to effectuate this resolution upon review by the attorney to the town. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Revelard.
Yes.
Okay, resolution for affordable housing comprehensive plan public hearing. Whoops, where am I here? 79 would be 80. Resolution of the Town Board of the Town of Amenia introducing draft amendments to the Town Comprehensive Plan. Whereas the authority and responsibility to undertake comprehensive planning to regulate land use for the purpose of protecting the public health, safety, and general welfare of its citizens is among the most important powers and duties granted by the legislature to a town government, whereas it is the best interest of the people of the town of Amenia for the town board to periodically review and update its comprehensive plan with specific goals developed with the participation of its citizens to create an optimum comprehensive plan, whereas Town Law Section 272-A sets forth general parameters for the content of the comprehensive plan and the procedure for amending. Whereas amending a comprehensive plan is a Type 1 action pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law and Part 617 of the New York State Code of Rules and Regulations, commonly known as SECR, which provides that a full environmental assessment be completed prior to adoption. Whereas the town board has completed Part 1 of the Environmental Asset Form and has determined that the proposed action is an action for which there are no other involved agencies, and that the town board is therefore by default the lead agency for this action. Whereas the town board wishes to introduce the draft amendments to the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan for public comment and review to ascertain the future needs of the town so that appropriate land use regulations may be adopted and implemented. Whereas the town board hereby introduces the draft amendments to the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan in the form annexed hereto. Whereas a copy of the aforesaid proposed amendments to the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan have been provided to each member of the board. Whereas the town board shall hold a public hearing on said proposed amendments to the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan on December 15, 2022, at 7 p.m. at Amenia Town Hall, 4988 Route 22, Amenia, New York. Now therefore be it resolved that the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein, that the town board hereby authorizes and directs the town clerk to act as follows with respect to the proposed amendments to the town comprehensive plan. A, to post and to publish or cause to be published a public notice in the official newspaper of the Town of Amenia of said public hearing at least 10 days prior thereto, to serve a copy of this resolution, Part 1 of the Environmental Asset Form, and the annexed proposed amendments to the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan, and the public hearing notice to the municipal clerk of each abutting municipality not less than 10 days prior to said public hearings, to refer a copy of the draft amendments to the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan, Part 1 of the Environmental Asset Form, the resolution, and the public hearing notice to the Planning Board of the Town of Amenia for its advisory review and comment pursuant to Town Code Section 121-69. To provide a copy of this resolution, Part 1 of the Environmental Asset Form, the draft amendments to the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan, and the public hearing notice to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development for their advisory review and comment in accordance with General Municipal Law, Section 239M. Can I make that motion? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, it is. I make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Remillard?
Yes.
Awarding contract for fence repairs, resolution number 81. Awarding contract for fence repairs at Beekman Park. Whereas the Town of Amenia Recreation Commission is seeking to replace and repair damaged fences on the Little League Field, Senior League Field, and Softball Field located at Beekman Park. And whereas the Town of Amenia Recreation Commission, pursuant to the town's procurement policy, obtained proposals from qualified companies to replace and repair the damaged fences. Whereas the Town of Amenia Recreation Commission has presented the following proposals to the town. Berkshire Fence Company, $16,410. Adams Fences, $25,600. Whereas the Town of Amenia Recreation Commission has reviewed the proposals and determined that Berkshire Fence Company submitted the lowest responsible bid and recommends that the town board award the contract for replacing and repairing the damaged fences at Beekman Park to Berkshire Fence Company in the amount of $16,410, whereas pursuant to 6 NY CRR Part 617.5 C1, maintenance or repair involving no substantial changes in existing structure is deemed a Type 2 action under the State and Environmental Quality Review Act, and therefore it is not subject to review under seeker. Now, therefore, be it resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board has determined that this is a Type 2 action under seeker. Therefore, not subject to review under seeker. The town board of the town of Amenia hereby awards the services for replacing and repairing the damaged fences at Beekman Park to Berkshire Fence Company. The town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes and directs the payment for such repairs from the Summer Rec Program budget line 71451.01 and the amount of $12,610, and the Youth Program CE Connie Mac budget line number 73104.01.097 in accordance with the Berkshire Fence Company proposal annexed hereto. The town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute a contract for such services after review by the attorney to the town in accordance with the annexed proposal. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Remillard?
Yes.
Resolution number 82, resolution authorizing the formation of the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan Review Committee. Whereas the town board of the town of Amenia is considering various amendments and updates to the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan, which was last updated in 2007. Whereas the town board desires to establish the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan Review Committee to aid and advise the town board with respect to the proposed amendments and updates to the comprehensive plan. Whereas this committee will consist of 7 residents of the town of Amenia selected by the town board and 2 non-voting town board members. Whereas this committee will operate in accordance with the guidelines for the town of Amenia committees, which is annexed hereto and made a part thereof. Now therefore be it resolved that 1, the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan Review Committee is hereby created and will operate in accordance with the guidelines for the Town of Amenia committees and the recitations set forth herein. The Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan Review Committee shall organize and hold informational meetings to discuss with the residents the details of the proposed updates and amendments, communicate details of the proposed updates and amendments to residents, and prepare recommendations to the town board regarding proposed updates and amendments. For the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan Review Committee shall be advisory in nature and shall periodically make presentations to the town board as appropriate and necessary with respect to the proposed updates and amendments. 5, the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan Review Committee shall meet upon the convenience of the committee members and provide written monthly reports or minutes to the town board. The Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan Review Committee shall consist of no more than 7 Town of Amenia residents and 2 non-voting town board members. All members of the Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan Review Committee will be selected by the town board and serve at the pleasure of the town board. The Town of Amenia Comprehensive Plan Review Committee and its members shall comply with all guidelines for Town of Amenia Committee, which is annexed hereto and made a part thereof. And I make that motion.
A second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Remillard?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 83, transfer of funds for November 2022. I thought there was another resolution. No?
Yeah, I don't have that last one. I have it on my screen, fortunately.
Okay, we need the resolution to,
For workforce housing?
what?
Is it for workforce housing, the pay services? I have a hard copy.
I have one hard copy as well.
It's after the transfer of funds in my packet. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, we probably, it came in late, so it'd probably be would have been under other matters.
Okay.
Any town board member want?
Oh, wait a minute,
My
I
hard
do
copy.
have it, sorry
It
about
just went
that.
under.
There you go.
That's okay. No, it was under, because the transfer of funds.
Stuck to the
Oh.
transfer.
It was a
Gotcha.
one pager, so it
Gotcha,
just
gotcha,
kind of, they stuck together.
Yeah, it wasn't listed, but we were going to do it under other matters anyway. Okay, whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing revenue line 3005.01, state aid mortgage tax by $3,442.50, and increasing expense line 13554.01.044, assessor CE certiorari by $4,442.50, and decreasing expense line 13554.01. .074 assessors CE supplies by $1,000 for unanticipated legal costs. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing revenue line 3005.01 state aid mortgage tax by $12,723.85, increasing expense line 14204.01 attorney CE by $12,723.85 for unanticipated legal costs. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 36201.01 safety inspection PS by $10,000, decreasing expense line 80204.01 planning CE by $10,000 for unanticipated costs. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 71104.01 Amenia Park CE by $14,500, and decreasing expense line 71454.01 intercommunity rec CE by $3,000, decreasing expense line 71454.01.030 intercommunity rec CE trips by $5,500, and decreasing expense line 71454.01.030 intercommunity rec CE transportation by $4,000, and decreasing expense line 73104.01.097 youth program CE Connie Mac by $3,800 for Beekman Park fencing. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, I'm sorry, I think I was reading two here.
I think you jumped
I think I jumped from one to the other.
Right,
Okay,
you were doing
71104.
until you got to
It's getting late.
71454.01.030.
Wait a minute, I'm missing two lines
That's where you
here.
jumped down to the other one.
Okay,
You're on.
I'll start over here.
Fourth
Increasing
paragraph.
expense line 71104.01 Amenia Park CE by $14,500, decreasing expense line 71454.01 intercommunity rec CE by $3,000, decreasing expense line 71454.01.030 intercommunity rec CE trips by $5,500, and decreasing expense line 71454.01.030 intercommunity rec CE transportation by $4,000, and decreasing expense line 73104.01.097 youth program CE by $2,000 for landscape architect costs for parks planning. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 71104.01 Amenia Park CE by $16,410, and decreasing expense line 71451.01 summer rec program by $12,610, decreasing expense line 73104.01.097 youth program CE Connie Mac by $3,800 for Beekman Park fencing. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund increasing expense line 71104.01.089, Amenia Park CE ballpark lights by $814.56, increase expense line 71404.01.091, playgrounds rec CE by $228.13, and decreasing expense line 73104.01.094, youth program CE girls softball by $1,042.69 for unanticipated costs. Budget amendment in the general fund, increasing fund balance 599, workforce housing trust fund by $20,000, and increasing expense line 80204.01, 158, planning housing by $20,000 for AKRF affordable housing work. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 1989.01, other economic assistance by $2,448.78, and increasing expense line 80204.01.158, planning housing by $2,448.78 for affordable housing event expenses. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 13551.01, assessor PS by $8,000, decreasing expense line 71401.01, playgrounds rec PS by $8,000 for additional salary costs. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 16801.01, data processing CE by $4,075.65, decreasing expense line 16204.01.062, building CE maintenance by $4,075.65 for expenses. Budget amendment, the general fund, increasing expense line 19104.01.080, unallocated insurance by $349.90, decreasing expense line 16204.01.062, building CE maintenance by $349.90 to add highway truck purchase to insurance. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 11104.01.079, Justices CE training by $60.21, decreasing expense line 11104.01.076, Justices CE technical support by $60.21 for added expense. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund, increasing expense line 35104.01.074, dog control CE supplies by $920.55, decreasing expense line 35102.01, dog control equipment by $210, decreasing expense line 35104.01.042, dog control CE board strays by $155, and decreasing expense line 35104.01.048, dog control CE conferences by $7.34, decreasing expense line 35104.01.081, dog control CE veterinarian by $400, and increasing expense line 16604.01.074, central store room supplies by $148.21 for equipment. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board authorize the transfer of necessary budget line to process the transaction. I make that motion.
Second?
I have discussion.
Sure.
So halfway down, you have the, you want to pay for the workforce, you want to pay AKRF's consulting fees for creating
Affordable housing.
affordable housing out of our Affordable Workforce Housing Trust Fund.
Yes.
And you want $20,000 to do that.
Right, the bill is at 16.
The bill is at $18,000 right now, basically $17,923.59 per.
Yeah, and she's not done yet,
margins.
so
So how much more is going to happen this year?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, she's still working.
Supervisor, there is a a resolution that
I know.
is coming after that. I'm wondering if it makes sense to amend this particular resolution to remove that actual provision, because it's already set. This will authorize the transfer and the payment.
Okay, so amend it and take without that.
I think.
But I'm also, yeah, that's fine with me, I don't care. I'm arguing that I think that the mini grant has not been fully expended, and part of that $10,000 from HRH funds should go towards offsetting AKRF this year.
Well, there's
And
a
they've-
line in here where this 244A,
They have spent $2,448, as I can understand from Marge's spreadsheet. I don't know if all the receipts.
that's what's in here. And,
So,
and they also spent more because we
Oh,
have that
here
in
it
another
is.
transfer.
so you're transferring it to affordable housing, but not to help pay for AKRF, of which that grant is capable. If they've gotten $10,000 is in grant, right?
Right, but we haven't finished getting bills from AKRF. They're still working.
I know, but to take all of it out of the housing trust fund,
All of
workforce
what?
housing, the $20,000.
Well,
You're
that's,
taking it out of the savings account when you actually have money already
but we
in
don't
the
have enough
revenue
to cover
lines.
it.
I know you don't have enough to cover all of it, but you should cover as much as you can to expend out the Hudson River Housing mini grant as they are able to pay it. So in other words, they have $7,551, as far as I know, left to go on their mini grant. So the mini grant of $7,551 should offset the $17,923 and only take that which you need this year to cover AKRFs this year. So right now, we have bills of almost $18,000. I'm saying that you should just take out $10,372.37 out
Well,
of the
that's-
housing
well,
fund,
what do
not
we
to
do-
20,000, not 20,000.
Well, what do we do with the to pay the, what are we going to use to pay the bills the rest of the year?
Well, when her second bill comes in, you bring it out of the housing board, but I would first get rid of the balance on the mini grant. That's just me speaking, because I know that we have money for a grant. That money has come in. We have spent part of it. We haven't spent all of it. They said, yes, we can pay for it on AKRF's housing.
And do you know from the housing board if they have any plans to spend any more of it?
It's pretty much, I've just emailed Charlie, but I don't believe we have put on the 2 workshops that we said we were going to do, right? I don't think there is more expenses coming. We don't have anything.
I wouldn't know.
Scheduled
He's the
for
one that does that. I don't have anything to do with that.
Well,
I just handle the money.
I think we should spend the money out of there, and only what you absolutely need out of the workforce housing fund. I just don't think that you've done, I agree, I would like to know from Charlie, for sure. I sent him the spreadsheet of Marge's stuff. I said, here's the expenses, and as far as I know, he didn't come back and tell me, oh, you know, we still have printing costs, or maybe Marge didn't catch all of the costs. They did have printing costs in there, it's $1,171. They had refreshments. I can't think of any more, but anyway, I think I'm sorry that we didn't have this discussion more fully. I do agree it can come out of the savings account, but we shouldn't take any more than we absolutely need, because we do need to spend the money that we've received from Hudson River Housing. And I don't think there's $7,551 of expenses left right before Thanksgiving and Christmas. I mean, what are we going to do?
Well, we'll have
T-shirts,
more,
I
we'll
don't
have more expenses from her,
From AKRF.
from AKRF.
By December 31st?
Well, she just did the addendum for the comprehensive plan. She didn't do it for free.
Okay, so that doesn't reflect
No.
current ongoing expenses, you know that we're going to have $7,000 more in expenses.
Oh, no, I don't have a crystal ball sitting here that I'm going to know exactly how much she's going to charge, but I know she's going to be charging something because she didn't do it for free.
The resolution that we passed authorizing the contract with AKRF was for a limit not to exceed, and they haven't exceeded that. It was, I don't remember exactly, it was 30,000 something. So this would be 20,000, so presumably there's going to be a submission of another voucher for December, presumably.
Okay, it's fine with me. I would think that
We're
you
not
would want to clean out existing funds as best you could, but if we haven't heard from Charlie and I haven't heard from him to confirm that my numbers are finite, but it looks to me like we have $7,551 to go towards AKRF.
Before we write any checks, we'll check with him and see what he's doing.
So can we say authorize up to $20,000 to be? I mean, $20,000 will more than cover your existing bills.
It should be a definite number. The
It has to be
resolution,
an exact number?
the resolution should indicate a definite number.
So do we have to do this tonight, or can we do it in 2 weeks from now?
Why would we do that when we have the
So-
resolution already ready to go?
So that we can get the exact number that Hudson River Housing's mini grants can cover of your existing bill of $17,923.
What about what comes
So you
in
can
between
close that?
now and January?
You can take it out of your savings account. The money's in the account.
That's what we're doing with the
Well,
resolution.
$20,000, you think that's going to cover it?
Well, I certainly hope so. And besides, we're not done.
So
I mean, we're still going to be, we've got 2 public hearings to do with this comprehensive plan.
Okay.
We're only doing the first.
I know we can afford to do that because we have the money in the bank in a savings account, right? I know that we can cover that, even if
Cover
it's
what?
December. AKRF.
Maybe the current bill.
And the next bill, there's $61,000 in the workforce
Well,
housing.
we're not touching that. I'm taking $20,000 of that so that I can pay the bills to the end of the year.
So all I'm asking you is to consider carefully how much money is left over from the 2 mini grants that we got.
Which I
Put
will be
that
doing when
towards
I,
AKRF before year end, so that they can close out that grant.
well, we will.
Okay, great.
But that doesn't mean I'm not going to need more than that.
Well, fine, I just think that we should not, it's a one-way street. When you take that money out, it is gone. I don't know that you can repay it, maybe we can. Charlie was indicating that we can pay it back with grants, but I would always spend money that's been earmarked for it specifically in a grant first before I would go to your savings account and pull all the stuff that you need.
We're not pulling all.
$20,000, I have $7,000 right now.
Well, good for you.
To put
It's
towards
gonna,
it.
yes, we got $7,000 we can put toward it. And then, but that's not gonna cover all of it.
Right.
So where are we supposed to get the rest of it? Pull it out of the air?
Pad it by a couple of thousand as you padded it here, fine.
Pad what? Putting in,
God.
I'm putting in
Okay.
an amount what,
I don't think I don't think you can understand what I'm trying to say.
I have no idea what you're trying to say. All I'm looking at is being able to pay the AKRF bills through December. That's my goal.
And you received $10,000, no? In Hudson River Housing, 2 mini grants, right? $10,000.
And some of which has been spent.
$2,000 has been spent.
All right.
So all I'm asking is you put the remaining 7 towards AKRF and only pull out that which you think you need.
I don't know what I'm going to need because I don't know what the bills are going to be between now and the end of December.
So you have a savings account.
Well,
That you can do this again and move the money over.
what's the difference between moving the money now or moving the money in 2 weeks?
So Hudson River Housing,
I don't want
it's
to hear
fine.
anymore. You sound like a broken record, which is ridiculous. I mean, I could check with Charlie and see how much, if he's going to need any more of those grants or going to be using, and whatever he isn't, we'll apply to our AKRF. But we need to pay bills between now and the end of December. And we have, they just did an addendum for a public hearing. There's going to be another public hearing after that, so there's going to be more AKRF bills coming in. I mean, I wouldn't have taken any if if we had that in the budget originally, but we didn't. And that's what the funds are for, and I had a long conversation with Charlie about it, and he was fine with it.
I think he wrote to all of us that he preferred that we not pay AKRF out
I
of
had
that
a
fund.
conversation with Charlie, told him what we were planning, what we wanted to do, and he said he was fine with it.
Okay.
He wrote that to all of us, you said?
He wrote to us saying he'd rather not, but you've had a conversation with him, so that's fine.
No, I'm just looking for where, I don't see it here.
I mean, I'm not going to take any money I don't need, but, we're just trying to plan on paying the bills up to the end of the year. I mean, it isn't like we're not doing anything. I mean, with the zoning law is being worked on, and so is we've got two things going simultaneously that they're working on, the zoning law and the comprehensive plan.
Okay, I just want to know that we're taking out as little as possible out of the housing fund so that we maximize what we're able to spend on AKRF out of our mini grant, which was an allowable expense. That's all.
Which we will do.
Okay, so there's a resolution out there that's been amended, read
Well,
aloud.
no one's made the
No,
a motion
She
to
said
amend.
she said she's granting to that, so we haven't even made a motion to accept all of what was read yet either.
No, we're just having,
Yeah,
that was
we
all
make-
discussion.
Purdy and then Doyle.
Was there a motion made or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then
it
we
was
went into
seconded.
discussion.
Discussion. You
So now
can
I need
move.
to do it, now I need to take a roll call.
No, you can.
No, we need to do a new amendment.
No, you do a motion to amend. You'd vote on the amendment, and the amendment's accepted, then you would have a vote on the pending motion as amended.
So motion to
Amend.
amend
Amend the
the,
transfer of funds.
Moving the one line.
Yeah,
amend the
whatever,
motion.
I have
whereas.
to say it, I say it.
1, 2, 3, 4,
It'll be there, it'll just be crossed out.
7th.
Seventh paragraph. Seventh
The
whereas.
7th whereas.
I do it.
Oh, it's no,
Yeah.
the eighth. The first one isn't bolded.
It's the 8th,
one, two,
and I have
three.
to...
Oh, look at that, yeah.
I have to say in all the conversation, I kind of, could you read number 8 for me again, how it's supposed to read?
Oh, no, you were deleting that one.
We're
We're
deleting.
totally deleting it.
Yeah, it's
Because the
gone.
next resolution
You're removing the
is gonna have
transfer
it.
because the next resolution
yeah.
explains the transfer
That one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
and authorizes the transfer.
Now I'm back with you.
So the
got
motion
it.
to amend should be to amend the current resolution by removing the 8th whereas clause in its entirety.
Yep.
And that motion would have to be made by one of the council members.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Brad.
I'll second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilperson Doyle?
Yes.
Revlard?
Yes.
Do you want to move to accept the transfer?
I make a motion
The
to
next one?
accept the transfer of funds
As amended.
as amended.
I'll second that.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle? Revlard?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, we removed 3 lines to read 2 pages. No, I'm just joking.
Okay, resolution number
Careful now.
84.
It's getting late.
So we can
This
go
will
ahead
explain
with this resolution. Resolution authorizing transfer of funds from the Workforce Housing Trust Fund to pay for services rendered by AKRF to promote affordable housing. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia by Resolution number 44 of 2022 authorized a contract with AKRF Incorporated to conduct a review of this town zoning code and comprehensive plan to determine what incentives exist for workforce housing, what locations within the town are best suited for high-density residential housing, and to make recommendations to help promote affordable housing within the town of Amenia. Whereas AKRF Incorporated has reviewed the relevant chapters of the town code and comprehensive plan to identify sections, says identity, should be identify sections of the code and comprehensive plan that could be updated to promote affordable housing and submitted drafts of proposed amendments to the town zoning code and the town comprehensive plan. Whereas AKRF Incorporated has submitted a voucher for payment for services rendered pursuant to their contract with the town, whereas pursuant to resolution number 44 of 2022, payments for AKRF services are to be paid from the affordable housing budget line number 80204.01.158, whereas the town of Amenia by resolution number 36 of 2021 authorized the creation of the Town Workforce Housing Trust Fund pursuant to Town Code 121-42N, whereas pursuant to the Town Code Section 121-42N2B, the Workforce Housing Trust Fund shall be used exclusively to provide for the acquisition, purchase, planning, development, construction, improvement, rehabilitation, sale or resale, rental subsidy, support, or other legal means of creating or supporting more workforce housing. And whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia is seeking to transfer funds within the Workforce Housing Trust Fund to the Affordable Housing Budget Line number 80204.01.158 to pay for AKRF services, whereas pursuant to Section 121-42N2D of the Town Code, the Town Board, after consultation with the Housing Board, has determined that the AKRF services updating the Town Code and Comprehensive Plan to promote affordable housing to be in furtherance of the workforce housing goals of the town, whereas the Town Board desires to transfer $20,000 from the Workforce Housing Trust Fund to the Affordable Housing Budget Line number 80204.01.058 to pay for services rendered by the AKRF. Now therefore be it resolved as follows: the recitation set forth above are incorporated, and this resolution is fully set forth and adopted herein. Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby determines AKRF services to be in furtherance of the workforce housing goals of the town. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes and directs the transfer of $20,000 from the Workforce Housing Trust Fund to the Affordable Housing Budget Line, number 80204.01.158, for the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the supervisor after the transfer of funds to pay the vouchers submitted by AKRF from the Affordable Housing Budget Line number 80204.01.158 as previously authorized by resolution number 44 of 2022. And I make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Remillard?
Yes.
Okay, that was part of other matters. Town Board comments. Please send to the town clerk any candidates for Citizen of the Year for the town clerk for Wassaic and Amenia. I also was given a public notice to read, originally published at poughkeepsiejournal.com on 11/14/2022. Notice of annual election, Wassaic Fire District, Town of Amenia, December 13, 2022. Please take notice that the annual election of the Wassaic Fire District will take place on December 13, 2022, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. at the Wassaic Fire District Fire Station, 27 Firehouse Road, Wassaic, Town of Amenia, New York, for the purpose of 1, electing one commissioner for a 5-year term commencing on January 1st, 2023, and ending on December 31st, 2027, and 2, for the purpose of adopting or rejecting the resolution adopted by the Board of Fire Commissioners as follows. A resolution authorizing the issuance of a bond or bonds in the amount of not more than $990,000 of the Wassaic Fire District, Town of Amenia, Dutchess County, New York, to finance the cost of the purchase of a 2023 Class A fire pumper at a maximum estimated cost of $990,000. All residents of the fire district duly registered with the Dutchess County Board of Elections as of November 22nd, 2022, shall be eligible to vote. Wassaic Fire District, Town of Amenia, New York, October 13, 2022, November 14, 2022. Are there any other town board comments?
I was going to mention that the liaisons and chairs need to provide any grant awards, budget descriptions, so that our bookkeeper can keep track of expenses as they come in, and be prepared for her AUD, which is the comptroller's report after the year end. Our next CAC meeting is 7 p.m. on December 21st. That's always the third Wednesday. I had some luck finding sample committee guidelines, and quite a few towns in our neighboring area do not have committee guidelines. They actually rely on the enabling legislation for each of the town boards, the planning board, ZBA, committees, councils, and commissions. So I've been forwarding those on to town board members and hoping that they can take a look at those. There was one, I think, from Rhinebeck or Red Hook that did have very good sample, but most of them did not have it. So they just refer to their legislative laws. Are we getting town board minutes, or are they coming in December?
We can give them in December then.
All of them for this year?
We have them in the book, yes.
And they haven't been circulated, or am I missing them?
No, we started circulating them, then one was absent, one was not absent, one was absent, so we just didn't, we haven't, but they'll be there for your December meeting.
All of the minutes?
We'll do that
So
then.
like 24 sets, or, I mean?
No, I don't know how, yeah,
Yeah,
we'll have them
twice a
then.
month, yeah. Okay. It'd be great to get them in advance so I don't have to read through
Quickly. Yeah,
reams and reams.
sure. You'll get them.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
For fun.
Can I ask some questions or two
Public
questions
comment?
quickly?
Okay, I rescind my motion to adjourn. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
We didn't vote.
My name is George Bestranson. I just wanted to know what is the amount that one gets, that the town is getting in lieu of building
We
workforce housing?
received $61,000 so
For the
far.
first 25% of the project completed.
So that's in lieu of
Building.
two and a half units?
Are you asking about a specific project or the calculation by which it's determined?
I guess the calculation, I don't know. If it's too complicated, I don't.
The calculations in the statute, it is a very complicated calculation, but there is fees for two 2-bedroom units and 3-bedroom units. The numbers that have been discussed by the board now are with regards to a particular project. So that's why there's a number that's already been calculated that's due based on a phasing schedule for a current project. So that's what some of the numbers are being discussed. Otherwise, there is a formula within the statute that sets forth how they arrive at that number.
It just seems low that you have $60,000 for two units.
No, it's,
Am I wrong?
they had 58 C of Os. When they complete a certain number of units and they get their certain number of C of Os, they are then deemed 25, the first phase was 25% of their overall planned approved development. They then have to, they make this payment, and the payment is the difference between market rate housing and affordable housing, what's deemed affordable housing by Dutchess County Planning and others. So it's not that we are going to be able to take that money and build 10% of those, a percentage of those units with affordable housing. It's that we can help subsidize the cost of what it would take to build affordable housing in Amenia.
Understood.
So it's a fraction of what.
And then, do you need to change the master plan in order to build workforce housing that's being planned?
No,
So
we
I
don't.
don't
We're
understand
just-
why the master plan is
So we're
being changed.
facilitating, just making it easier to incentivize people to build affordable housing, make it more possible.
Yeah, AKRF is a planner, and they went through our comprehensive plan, so they looked to see where in our comprehensive plan it might have inhibited, affordable housing. So that's what we're trying.
Is there a report online?
What?
Is there a report online?
We should have their
The comprehensive plan
recommendations,
is
their
on the
changes.
website.
Yeah.
It was
should be.
actually just presented tonight.
No, the whole comprehensive plan is on the website. The addendum that was presented tonight will be put on the website as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for coming up and asking, by the way.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's 10:08 PM. Supervisor,
Yes.
Supervisor President,
Yes.
Councilperson Fairlight, I mean.